Editing videos on your smartphone is powerful, and tools like CapCut make it quick and easy. Today, I'm going to take you through an edit from a recent video I did, and I'm going to show you how you can get cinematic video sequences with just your iPhone. Let's do this! What is going on? It's Anil. Now, at the back end of last year, I filmed a car B-roll tutorial using a smartphone and a gimbal, and I edited the whole thing using my iPhone and CapCut. After scrolling through all those comments, there's been so many requests to do a tutorial on the CapCut edit. So here it is, guys. I'm going to show you today the CapCut edit for this video. So let's jump into this tutorial. We're going to break this into sections, so let's get going. So as you can see here, guys, I've got my iPhone ready to go. We're going to launch CapCut. We're going to go straight in it. Project view. First thing you need to do is you need to create your project. As you can see on the screen here, I've got loads of working copies. For me and my workflow, I find it easier that every major stage of an edit, I save it as a separate project. Just makes it easier to keep it organized, and also I can roll back at different stages if I want to make changes. So tap on new project. Select the clips that you want. Tap on add. This is the time to make your first cuts. So go through all the clips on your timeline and get them exactly where you want. Cut away all of the beginning and end bits that you don't want. This is just an initial draft. Once you put the music on later on in this tutorial, you'll be able to shorten them, move them around, but you just want to get them into a baseline. Now, once all your cuts are in place, you're ready to look at doing some speed ramps. So I'll scroll back to the beginning here. We're going to take a look at this first clip. Tap on the clip, go to speed. You want to hit curve, then custom edit. And as you can see, you now got your speed ramp line. Now for this clip, if I scroll through, you can see here that I'm pushing forward to the car and then I'm going over the top of the car. There you go. So I think for this opening sequence, I want to push forward and then speed right up to the car just at the point when it's going over the car, and then I'll slow it down again. So let's go through that right now. So at this point here, where I want it to change, right there, I'm going to add a beat. So tap on add beat. There you go. Now all the other beats before that, I'm going to slow them down. So I'm going to go back to that first beat. I'm going to slow it down to 0.5. And then I'm going to slow the next beat down to 0.5. Let's play that back. So you see, it's not actually ramping up yet. So what we need to do is go to that third beat and ramp that right up, and then play it back. There you go. Now I want that ramp to be a little bit longer, so I'm going to take that fourth beat, I'm going to push that up as well. Let's play that back. And there you go. That's the speed ramp line already done. And next, you've got a couple of options here. If you look at this little drop down just below the speed line, if you tap on that drop down, you've got two options. You've got faster processing or better quality. Better quality is the option to go for, but just be careful. When you select better quality, the processing time is going to be longer. Also, if there are any imperfections in the clip, the better quality option will be more aggressive. So you might find that it might crop in certain places, or it might even shorten the clip. So for the interest of time, I'm going to hit fast processing, tap on a little check mark bottom right, and there you go. It's starting to process that in faster processing mode. I can now play that back, and you can see that my speed ramp is in place. So next we're going to talk about video effects, because CapCut's got tons of video effects. Now I'm not a massive fan of video effects, I think they can be cheesy, but if it's done tastefully, they can add to your sequence. I think for this sequence and the music I have in mind for it, some glitch transition effects might work out. And in CapCut it's really easy. You can see in between these two clips, if you just tap on that little white square, you got your effects menu. You can go through all of these effects, and CapCut's got tons of them. Now I'm going to go over to glitch, and I'm going to use strobe. So I'm going to tap on strobe, and then you just tap on the little check mark on the bottom right, and then it will add that little transition effect to your video. Now, if you're serious about filmmaking, you probably want to get a royalty-free music service. I use Epidemic sound because it is awesome. But for sound effects, I just use everything in CapCut because by default, there are tons of sound effects already built into CapCut. So if I go back into the timeline, you see, as I'm doing this first speed ramp, I play that clip, and when it's speeding, I want to get some kind of whoosh going on. So if I go over here and click on audio, and I go to effects, there are loads of effects here. I've actually bookmarked some that I use quite regular. Deep whoosh is the one that I'm going to use in this sequence. So if I tap on deep whoosh, you can hear that there. Tap on the little plus icon right at the end, and that will insert deep whoosh into your timeline. And now I can play that clip. If the timing's out, you just tap on that clip and you can move it around. Timing's still out, but I can just tap on it again, move it back. There you go. And that's how easy it is. Putting sound effects and using sound effects in sequence like this just brings it alive. Now, I mentioned that I like to use Epidemic sound for music. Now, getting music into CapCut could be a little bit tricky, especially if you're using a third-party service like I am. Luckily, I found a little trick on how you can get your Epidemic sound music into CapCut. So if you open up the Epidemic app, find the track you want and download it to files. Make sure you have the project open that you want that clip to import into. Then navigate to files, select track, then share that track to CapCut. This will import the music track directly into your project timeline. Once your music clip is imported into CapCut, there is a waveform you can see right here as I'm scrolling through. You can use that because that's going to tell you when the beat is hitting. You might want to move your clips and your transitions all around that waveform. And then once you're done, just play your clip. You can see here on this first one I'm just running through. There you go, it's all in beat because I've shortened those clips and I've moved them according to that waveform. So next we're going to talk about color grade. So if I go over to color grade project, open it up, the CapCut has got a lot of color grading options. It's not going to be as powerful as something like Premiere Pro or anything like that, but you can get some decent results. Now with this car B-roll sequence, I wanted to give that like desert, dark, moody feel to it. But this is where my color grade comes in. I'm going to get rid of all that greenness, mute it down, get some browns in there. So if I click on filter, you can see I've got my adjustment layer there. I've purposely put it in between the clips so we can see the difference between my color grade and what the clip was before. So let's dive right in to show you what I did in this adjustment layer for the color grade. So I'm going to tap on that adjustment layer, tap on polish, and then you've got all your adjustments and color grading options. Now my advice is to split this into two. The first thing you want to do is your adjustments. And this is where you take the baseline of that video file and you adjust the contrast, you adjust the brightness, you adjust everything before you mess around with the colors. So you can see on this clip, I've made some changes to brightness, contrast, I brought down a little bit, saturation, I've adjusted slightly, exposure. I've also gone into graphs and I've done a little bit of an S-curve. And you can play around with this. The classic S-curve is going to give you a lot more contrast in those dark shadows, midtones. And then once you're happy, come out of that. And then you want to go to HSL. And this is where you can do a little bit of color grading in CapCut. So I'm going to tap on HSL and you can see here, you've got all your color grades here, all the colors listed up there. So right at the end, I've got my purple and I've got my pinks. And for these, you can see the middle saturation, I've pushed it all away. I've taken all of the purples and the pinks out of this sequence. I've got no use for them. Now the next three, orange, yellow, and green, that's where I've made some adjustments. If I go to green, you can see here that I've hue shifted. If I move that across, you can see I've hue shifted all of my greens to yellow. Now if I click on yellow, I can now have shifted the yellows halfway to orange. So if I move that, you can see here I can move all the way. You can see the difference it's making. And then when I click on orange, I now want to shift the orange slightly to get it a little bit more towards the red. You see what that's doing there? It's removing all of that green. It's making it look like a desert. It's giving that kind of muted brown tones to the video. This is personal taste, guys. I'm just showing you some of the things that I did for this particular sequence. You have different ideas, different tastes. You can play around with the color grading. And that's the beauty of being creators like us, where we can just do what we want. So once all your color grades are done, you can tap out of all that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that adjustment layer, move it all the way to the beginning of my clip. And there you go. You see I've got the color grade all in place. So I'm going to click out of that now. That is all the edits. We talked about creating a project, your timeline, getting your cuts in, your speed ramping. We talked about effects and music and how important those are. Also adjusting your video and color grading at the end. I'm going to pull all those together. I'm going to show you the final cut using CapCut. Let's go. There you go, guys, the full car B-roll sequence filmed on my iPhone, edited on my iPhone with CapCut, nothing else used. Now, if you want to learn more about filmmaking with your iPhone, you've got to check out this next video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.